From the Figure 4 Online Studios in beautiful Bothell, Washington, exclusively at WrestlingObserver.com, you're listening to The Bryan and Vinny Show with your hosts, Bryan Alvarez and Big Vinny V.
Alrighty, it is the Bryan Vinny Show here. It is Friday, November 29, 2019. Figure4online.com/WrestlingObserver.com. It is our usual weekly look at the AEW and NXT shows. And again, we're doing it on Friday. Second week in a row we've done this on Friday. And it's weird. So hopefully we get back to Thursdays.
That's the plan.
Because by Friday, I've pretty much forgotten everything that's happened on both of these shows.
That's fair.
What does that smell? Who's eating something here? Is that you, Ken? What are you eating?
No, it smells like vape juice in here. It always does.
What?
Vape juice?
Yeah, like sweet.
What is
I've
that
said it
smell in
before.
here?
I don't know.
It's you. It's you or you. Are you wearing something?
Antibacterial my hands
Just now?
right before coming in.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. No, there's no vape juice in here, Ken. What are you talking
Okay,
about?
yeah, that's me. Sorry.
That is you?
Yeah.
All right. Usually it's Craig.
Yes, it is.
Craig usually brings in some sort of
I didn't realize how strong it was until I smelled my hands.
it's
just now.
very powerful. It's permeated the entire room.
I do apologize for that. The good news is it smells like clean.
Well, it does smell clean. It doesn't smell dirty.
Yes. So
I do have a one chip in here for Ken if he wants to do the one chip challenge. You want to do it now? Now that you've heard Rob's successful one chip challenge attempt?
No, I like living.
Actually, that's a good point. I thought he was going to die. I can confirm that Rob is still alive at this moment.
so far.
Now what's going on?
That's Tommy.
That one was definitely you, Ken.
The audio.
You know, we have new people listening to this right now. They're like, what in God's name is this awful show? All right, make sure everything's quiet over there so we can get going. All right, so anyway, where was I? Rob and the one chip challenge?
Yeah.
I was thinking of letting Rob explain what happened when he got home, but I don't want to hear it. Because it was no good.
I'm sure it was not.
That I can tell you. Anyway, if you're a new listener today, every Thursday, Vinny and I review retro, or not retro, that's
Current.
Tuesday.
Contemporary.
Yeah, Tuesday's Retro Rod Nitro from 19 years ago this week, and Thursday is AEW and NXT. And so that's what we're going to do here. So I guess let's get going. Vinny, show everyone how it's done.
WWE NXT, November 27th, 2019. So that Wrestlin' Flow guy wrapped the entire roster down to the ring.
Well, not the entire roster, as we found out.
A good majority of the roster.
But there were a bunch of baby faces and heels all coming out together.
All having a grand old party. Because NXT won Survivor Series. And gotta say, this looks like a great party. This looked like a fun place to be.
It looked like a great party, but at the same time, I was just watching it, and I understand that on Survivor Series, you had a bunch of baby faces and heels that teamed up to take out Raw and SmackDown.
Yes.
But when I saw, like, the Forgotten Sons out there, they're partying with all the other baby faces, I'm like...
It's a symptom of the larger WWE problem where they tell us that brand supremacy matters, and therefore we are supposed to care. Whereas, in fact, we know, factually, brand supremacy does not matter.
It doesn't matter.
And it does make these guys look like geeks for pretending to even care about it.
Well, it's more that it just looked totally phony.
That's
Why,
the point I was trying to make.
Why are the Forgotten Sons out there dancing with... And they weren't even dancing, by the way. They were just out there walking around while all the other baby faces danced. Just too weird for me.
They were finally interrupted by the Undisputed Era, who came out on stage, and sadly, they were not wearing the Undisputed Era Christmas sweater, which is a thing, and they should have been wearing them. They brag, say, "You are not NXT, we are NXT, we are the Iron Men of the brand." Adam Cole promises Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly will defend the tag titles tonight. Ciampa cuts them off. He promises Dijakovic and Lee will win the tag belts. War is over, Daddy is home, and Daddy is coming for Goldie, he says. And then Finn Balor appears. And he says he's standing in Ciampa's way. And Ciampa says, Prince, you just met your king. And the crowd is chanting, yes, yes, yes for Daniel Bryan. And they cut to a wide shot, and Matt Riddle is in the ring doing the best cheerleading. Do you know how fun it looks being Matt Riddle?
Oh, yeah.
Like all the time, every day. So somebody forgets a line in here somewhere, and there's an awkward pause, and finally Lee calls out Red Dragon for right now.
So once Undisputed came out, this all got a lot better. Once the party ended, I liked it. The line that Keith Lee had about how it's basking season, I am praying it is the first and last time that he ever uses that line. That one ain't going to work on a t-shirt.
It's not the best.
Watch them actually put that on a t-shirt and sell them, but
Of course they will.
I don't know about its basking season.
So Beth Phoenix, Nigel McGuinness, and Tom Phillips welcomed us to the show. They noted Morrow was not there, but, and here is what they said in its entirety, we look forward to seeing you next week, Morrow.
Well, the update is, as of today, Friday, he's probably going to be back next week.
Okay.
That is what it's looking like. I should also add that I haven't watched SmackDown yet for this week, but in my email bin, starting at 6:22 p.m., between 6:22 and 8:16 p.m., I got 5 emails all about how much Corey Graves sucked on commentary on SmackDown.
Excellent.
So I don't know what the situation was, but something happened at about 6:22 p.m. that just set a bunch of people off. So, man, that's something I got to look forward to here on my holiday weekend, is watching SmackDown after the show.
Yes. So Tom Phillips on this NXT show, by the way, he did a very fine job.
Yeah, he did fine. You know what's funny, though, is when they got rid of Tom Phillips on SmackDown and they replaced him with Michael Cole and what's-his-face, Corey Graves, like, I was so mad that they got rid of Tom Phillips. Because Tom Phillips is one of the best guys that they have.
Sure.
But then when he was on this show replacing Mauro Ranallo, like, he did a good job, but, like, Mauro Ranallo is way better.
Sure.
Like, even if you don't like Mauro Ranallo, like, if you're one of those people that finds Mauro Ranallo fatiguing, like, he's just screaming the whole time and he's out of his mind, that's fine to have that opinion. But at least, like, Mauro Ranallo, he knows everything that's going on. He knows every move. Like, you may get upset at some of the references that he makes, but, like, they're all valid references. Like, this was a show where I would see a move and Tom Phillips had absolutely no idea what the move was. He had no idea what it was called. He just was completely clueless. He's fine, but Mauro Ranallo was better.
So we open with Lee and Dijakovic versus Red Dragon. Now, I'd heard going into the show that Bobby Fish had been hurt. So I was watching for it when it happened. Keith Lee went to press him out of the ring onto O'Reilly. It was an awkward lift. He really never had control of him in the first place. And when he came out of the ring, he wasn't really caught. He landed on his side. And as soon as, of course, this is because it's a WWE match. We're 1 minute in, but somebody has been thrown out of the ring, so we must go to commercial break.
Which was good, because they had to.
Yes, but then they put it in picture. And so I'm watching that to see what happens. And what happens is Fish gets in the ring. He's standing. He tags out right away, but he seems to be more or less okay. The match continues for a few minutes. O'Reilly's in the ring wrestling, and suddenly his tag team partner has morphed into Roderick Strong in jeans.
Yes.
And we are told, as soon as the break ends, William Regal has pulled Bobby Fish for medical reasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
So apparently Bobby Fish got a concussion.
Oh, that sucks too.
Well, they thought he had a concussion. I don't know if he actually had a concussion, but they did the deal where I guess the ref asked if he was okay, and I guess he must have said no. So they had Roderick Strong, who legitimately was not planning on wrestling this evening or being in this match.
Yes.
He comes out in his street clothes.
Yes.
They're planning to go, 16 minutes?
This thing went like 20 minutes.
This match went like 20 minutes. He knew nothing.
Yes.
Like, I'm sure he probably was there when they went over the match, so he must have had a clue. But he got in there, and he hadn't practiced anything. He hadn't gone over anything. He had to do this entire match, and I found out about the concussion afterwards, okay? Mm-hmm. If you remember on the TakeOver show, there was a spot where someone got thrown. It was actually Roderick Strong. Keith Lee and Dijakovic were going to do the double Beal, but something went wrong, and these two giant men could barely lift Roderick Strong, okay?
Yes.
That tells you how fake wrestling is, okay? Because when they really tried, they couldn't get this guy up when they mistimed it. So he goes through the middle rope, and he lands on Bobby Fish's leg.
Yes.
And so, Bobby Fish, there was concern that he hurt his leg, but he was fine. So I thought that he wasn't that badly hurt, but they wanted to give him some more time. So I thought that this was all planned. I thought Fish is going to get in the ring for 2 minutes. They're going to do a spot. He's going to pretend like he's hurt. You replace him with Strong. I watched this entire match thinking that this was the plan. Then I find out that it was legit, and Roderick Strong didn't even know that he was going to be in this match. I was like, holy smokes, this guy is good.
He is fantastic.
He's incredible.
This is the advantage of having really good veteran pro wrestlers on your roster.
Yes.
When things go wrong, when the crap hits the fan, this is when you find out who's really, really good. And Roderick Strong, if you have not gotten the message, is really, really good. So the match continues, as you note, with a new guy thrown in on the fly without a hitch. Now, it did not need to go as long as it did. And I don't think having Bobby Fish in there would have made it a good 20-minute match. They should have just done a 10-minute match. Roddy, when the chips are down and he doesn't know what else to do, we now know he's going to throw a chop block, especially on Giants. He threw about 93 of them, and the Dijakovic hits a big giant flip dive and immediately gets cut off with a dragon screw back in the ring. Adam Cole, for no apparent reason, comes storming down the ramp, and Keith Lee hits him with a pounce and sends him into outer space.
Oh yeah, over the barricade and into the plants.
He's into the about 6 people deep in the second row because he went across the row, not over them. But anyway, this was so spectacular that Dijakovic was distracted by what his partner had done, and thus Undisputed Era hit him with a high-low move and pinned him.
Yeah.
What a geek.
He came off as a total geek at the end. I loved this match until that very last spot. Like, these guys, I think it went long because Lee, especially Keith Lee got over huge in the Survivor Series.
Yes.
And I think they figured, well, Fish and O'Reilly are going to win when it was supposed to be Fish and O'Reilly. So, like, if they're going to lose, we're going to beat Dijakovic, but we want it to be a long, great match before we beat him. I'm pretty sure that was the idea here. Problem was, the way that they set up the finish, Dijakovic just looked like an idiot. Like, after all that, he just stood there and watched as his partner killed Adam Cole and was just standing there like a moron, and they hit him with the move.
That's what happened.
I didn't like that finish, but I very much liked this match. I thought everybody was great. Lee and Dijakovic, a little bit green in spots, but overall, it was great. And Keith Lee is going to be a big-time superstar.
I think he's going to do very well. So I did finally watch TakeOver, by the way. It was not until after this NXT had actually aired, but I did finally get a chance to sit down and watch TakeOver. So here's news from TakeOver where Mia Yim was going to the hospital after a backstage attack. And I thought, wait a minute, I did watch TakeOver. Did I miss this part?
No, they showed it on the pre-show and didn't show one clip on the TakeOver show, which I ranted about, by the way, on Saturday.
Good.
And I had all these people telling me, well, you need to watch the pre-show then.
Screw you.
It's not even that. It's like, you know what time the pre-show airs here?
Like 3?
3 on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
No, I'm not watching the pre-show. I'm out with my family.
Like normal
Like a
people.
normal person.
Yes.
So just show me what happened on the pre-show, if it's important.
Yes, that's the key.
If it's not important, don't.
If it's, and this will actually play in the other review too, but if something is important, you need to put it on the A show.
Yes, especially something, this storyline had been built up for how long? How
Weeks.
long were they building this up? And they finally pulled the trigger on the big angle, and they don't even show it to us on the TakeOver show?
Yes. So then they show...
And one more thing, by the way. Let's say that you actually wanted to watch the pre-show. Can you watch the pre-show? Where is it on the WWE Network?
Well, I have not tried. I can't.
I don't even know where it would be.
I'd assume it'd be the NXT file.
I go to the NXT file, I see TakeOver. I don't see the TakeOver pre-show.
Let's see how long it takes you.
All right, find it.
Time me here. How long does it take me to find the NXT pre-show on WWE Network? Well, I got NXT loaded. I go to the NXT file. It brings up TakeOver, NXT, TakeOver War Games, NXT. You know what, Brian? I don't see any pre-show on here.
You're telling me the pre-show isn't even on the network for you to look for?
If it is, it's not in the NXT folder.
Wow. Well, maybe if the angle's important, it should be on the main show.
I found about 5 different takeovers, all the way back to November. All the takeovers are on here, but the pre-show is not on here. What do you know?
Now, to be fair, like 50% of the time I can't find anything I'm looking for on the network.
Sure. So, at TakeOver, for those of you who did not hear, Dakota Kai turned heel. And she turned on Tegan Nox and laid her out and slammed her knee in the cage door and stole her knee brace. And afterwards, Tegan Nox was so upset she went on Twitter.
Yes, she did.
And I didn't write the whole thing down, and maybe I should have.
She just said that she's going to be okay, she needs time to heal, and she's not going to be there tonight.
And she said somewhere in here, I'll get my answers.
Yeah.
So what we learned here is that their Twitter promos are every bit as lame as their actual live promos.
I mean, I think the answer to her question is she was the last person in the cage, and obviously Dakota Kai was very upset with Rhea Ripley for not choosing her. Tegan just happened to be the victim.
Kathy interviews Candice LeRae, who I always start to say Candice Michelle. Candice says Dakota was supposed to be your friend. Tegan will get hers, but tonight Dakota is not going in there with her friend Candice LeRae. She's going in there with Tegan Nox's pissed off big sister.
This was not very good.
No.
And worse, you had the crowd noise on, and so when she gives these wacky lines, you can actually hear the crowd laughing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the two options are either turn off that crowd noise or you let them do real promos. Because the fake, scripted, corny promos combined with the crowd noise is death. As we found out in the next segment as well.
So we have clips of Angel Garza and Lio Rush from 2 weeks ago. And then at War Games, Garza had a match, and just as he came backstage, Lio came up and slapped him. And as they're being separated, Steve Corino points at Lio and says, "Don't do that!"
And you hear people laughing again.
I was one of them.
Yeah, because it's ridiculous. The king of hardcore here, Steve Corino.
The king of old school.
Yes.
Don't do that.
Yes.
And this somehow sets up Lio Rush versus Akira Tozawa on this show.
I don't know how that happened. I mean, clearly the other guys are feuding. There will be more matches.
Shane Thorne versus Mansoor. They had 2 minutes, and they packed a lot of stuff into 2 minutes.
Dude, I'm not the biggest fan of Shane Thorne, mostly because he was in TM61 and that act sucked. But, like, he was good here. Mansoor was totally fine, and the fans were into the 2 minutes, and there were a couple of good suplexes.
When he caught Mansoor on a tope and smooth as glass transitioned into Saito suplex, I was like, holy shit, that was cool.
That was awesome, but
it should have been an injury angle.
Well, not only that, but so Mansoor goes for a tope, and Shane Thorne grabs him and gives him the suplex, okay? So then at the end of the match, Mansoor goes for the tope again, and this time he hits it. Is this not like backward psychology? Shouldn't it be like he goes for it and he hits it the first time, but then the second time he tries it and he gets caught and suplexed for the heat?
That could work, yeah.
Like, otherwise, it's like, Mansoor, he pulled it off, but he kind of looked like an idiot. Like, you tried this, it failed, but then you decided that you were going to try it again. I don't know. It was only 2 minutes.
It went 2 minutes. And
I liked it.
Mansoor won with a slingshot blockbuster. Candice LeRae versus Dakota Kai. Dakota got new music and new video and new gear and new hair.
And new makeup.
And apparently, she is no longer the captain of Team Kick. Because they never called her that one time. Because apparently, captain of Team Kick is a babyface nickname. Which is news to me. Because every time I heard it, I hated her.
I don't know if you could call it a babyface nickname.
Well, she's no longer the captain of Team Kick. She's been demoted, apparently.
Wow.
A private on Team Kick.
She needs a new team.
So, they had a very, very good match where they just did too much stuff. They're doing bumps in the apron. They're doing...
Dude, they didn't do bumps on the apron. They tried to do a bump on the apron, but they missed the apron. Like, Candice tries to give her a German.
On the apron.
But, like, I don't know what happened, but Dakota barely touched the apron and then fell all the way down to the floor, nearly killed herself. Candice ends up falling down on the floor, nearly killing herself.
It looked to me like she hit the very corner of the apron as hard as possible and then
Yep.
also hit the floor as hard as possible.
Yep, and
So
this
like
was-
2 bumps instead of 1.
And this was set up by Candice going outside on the apron. She starts to go up top, and then she just comes back down, and they do this spot.
Yeah.
So, like, somebody forgot something here. And then, I have no idea what happened. But Candice just starts running, and then she stops, and she sits down, and she starts messing with her own ankle. And then, from that point forward, she was limping for the rest of the match. And I don't remember Dakota Kai working over her ankle. So I think at some point in here, she also twisted her ankle, and that made everything doubly difficult. This match was a struggle. That is the nicest thing that I can say about it.
So we had Dakota going for the knee brace but being dropped face first into the turnbuckle, and then a big power bomb, and then a missed moonsault, and then a destroyer backcracker that wasn't the finish. A Gargano escape, which ironically Dakota Kai escaped, and then Dakota just hit her with a knee brace for the DQ.
I was so angry when she
Fuck
hit
off.
her with that knee brace. Dude, Dakota Kai just turned heel.
Yes.
The match is going to be Dakota Kai versus Tegan Nox.
Yes.
Why can't Dakota Kai beat Candice LeRae? You want to know why? I'm going to tell you why. She can't beat her because they figured they needed to put more heat on her, so they had to do a disqualification finish with a crutch shot. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you just hit her with the crutch behind the referee's back and
And
pin
get a
her?
pin. Yes. She's a heel. You can cheat and protect Candice that way.
Not only that, it's like, how much more heat do you have to put on Dakota Kai? She turned on her team. She screwed everybody in NXT. She beat up everybody's favorite and tried to tear her leg out of her leg, as Owen Hart said. Why do we need more heat on Dakota Kai? She already has enough heat. It's like when I watch SmackDown and they book an angle to get more heat on Baron Corbin. He has more than enough heat. Just do the finish that makes sense, and in this case, the finish that would have made sense is Dakota Kai beating Tegan Nox's angry big sister. Why is this so hard?
I don't know. At this point, my notes read, Kathy interviews Ciampa. He says whatever.
He didn't have much to say.
Okay. A Cameron Grimes video package. He is Huck Finn. Walk around barefoot by the river. He's been scratching and clawing and doing terrible things since high school to get to NXT. He is the quickest win in the company, but nobody talks about him because he's not a bro or a baby. He is going to cave people in.
Maybe he should be a bro or a baby.
That was okay. Lio Rush versus Akira Tozawa. Okay, question for people who know more about Japanese wrestling than I do. How big a surprise is it that Akira Tozawa had more success in WWE than Kenta?
How big a surprise?
Yes.
I don't even know how to answer that question.
Okay, that's fair.
Well, they're just two totally different things. Like, Kenta probably would have had more success, but he got hurt like 95 times.
That is true.
So Tozawa has
true.
not had that issue.
No.
But yeah, Tozawa he hasn't been that big a success. Like, let's just put it this way. Kenta has been a much bigger disappointment. Or he was a much bigger disappointment.
There you go. Okay. So, they had an awesome TV match.
It was great.
Lio Rush has been the star of NXT for since he came back and won this title.
Lio Rush, he walked out for a while,
Yes.
and he has a very, very high opinion of himself. And it's well-deserved.
Sure.
Let's put it that way. He is so great. The problem is he's really small,
Yes.
and so, like, it doesn't matter how high your opinion is of yourself. Like, Vince is never going to make him the world champion.
No.
And if he is, he'll be like Rey Mysterio, where you give him the title, and then you're just determined to get it off the guy as soon as you can. But, like, this guy is so insanely talented. And Akira Tozawa, they had, like, the fastest match
Yep.
you've ever seen.
With so much stuff I've never seen before.
And with one exception, which we'll get to, this match was out of this world.
So I'm assuming the exception is where Tozawa's mouth guard comes out.
Yes.
And Leo appeared to go for the come up, which is the stunner where he bounces off the bottom rope.
Yes.
And when he bounces backwards, Tozawa is just nowhere to be found.
Yes.
And so the match just continued.
So what was supposed to happen was he was going to do the come up, and Tozawa was going to grab him out of midair and give him a German suplex.
Okay, which they did.
Which they actually did a little bit later.
Yeah.
So there's two possibilities for what happened here, and I actually don't know which one it is. The one possibility is that when he kicked him and knocked his mouthpiece out, Tozawa was flash knocked out. Mm-hmm. And so he had no idea what to do, and so he just, collapsed. The problem with that theory is, they just kept going. And he was great. So I think what happened was he got hit really hard, and his mouthpiece flew out, and he briefly forgot what the next spot was going to be. And so when Leo started running, he just sort of went down on his hands and knees. I guess thinking that Leo would hit the ropes and see that he was down and kick him or something. Not realizing that the spot involved Leo Rush facing the other way.
Yes.
And not knowing that he's down. So poor Leo bounces high into the air and falls right on his ass.
That is what happened.
And they look at each other for a second, and then they keep going. I think that's what happened. Yeah. But I don't know. That was the only faux pas in this match.
And they recovered so quickly.
Yes,
it's like it barely mattered.
Did a couple spots and went right back to it and hit it.
So eventually, Tozawa goes for the senton, but he hits Leo's knees, and Leo hits the final hour, which is the frog splash, one to the back, one to the belly, and pins him. This was, in fact, as is usually the case, the best match of the night.
I don't know. That Omega Pac match was awesome.
I was also very good. Kathy interviews Finn Balor. Ciampa's living in my world. It's a dark place. I put Gargano in hospital. I beat Matt Riddle at TakeOver. And tonight, Ciampa meets the Prince. Clips of Pete Dunne and Adam Cole Survivor Series. Good match. Then we get Xia Li versus Vanessa Bourne, where the story is Vanessa is here to get revenge for the time Xia kicked Aaliyah's face and made it explode.
You know the story there, don't you?
Well, I remember we talked about what the hell happened here on.
Well, I'm going to tell you what happened.
Review.
It was a work.
Aha.
Because what's her name?
Aaliyah.
Aaliyah is getting nose surgery.
I see.
And so that's why, remember she put both hands up and got kicked and then somehow was still bleeding?
Yes.
Well, the guy with the towel came in with a nicely folded up towel.
Ha!
And then he puts it on her face and all of a sudden there's blood everywhere.
Congratulations, guys.
That
got
is
working.
Me.
Well done.
It was a worked, broken nose spot. But anyway, yes, the storyline is that Vanessa Bourne is angry with Xia Li. She says that she's careless.
Yeah. The story, as the announcers explained, is that she is a sloppy worker.
Now, quite frankly, that's the story Nigel told. Mm-hmm. The other two announcers are like, dude, you can kick somebody in the nose. That's legal. That literally was, Tom Phillips said, he goes, it's in the rule book. You can throw a kick. And Nigel decided he was still going to defend Vanessa Bourne because I guess he's in love with her, but it's ridiculous.
Yes.
Reckless.
So, Vanessa Bourne comes out here to get revenge for her friend and just gets slaughtered.
Murdered.
Lee hits her with a big deadlift powerbomb. At this point, Shayna and the Horsewoman come out, and Lee is totally distracted, and then she turns around and hits a flipping kick for the win anyway.
Yes.
I laughed, and I laughed, and I laughed, and I laughed, and I laughed. So the Horsewoman destroys Xia Li. Shayna cuts a promo. She brags about beating Bayley and Becky at the same time at Survivor Series. But as much as she is bragging about her win, the crowd is just chanting for Rhea Ripley. And so Rhea comes out, and Shayna bails. But Rhea calls her back and says, I have something to say to your face. And Shayna's no coward, so she goes to hear what Rhea has to say. And Rhea says, congratulations, on beating Bayley and Becky Lynch at the same time. But when we went face to face, I beat you. And I'll do it again next time for the title. And this is Shayna Baszler. And she takes no shit. And she steps through these ropes and she gets right in Rhea's face. And says, they call you the nightmare, but I'm the reality. And the reality is you'll be tapping or napping like the rest of them. Because they have to have a cash line phrase in there. So Rhea challenges her to a fight right now. Baszler does not accept. And she's leaving. Rhea says, next time, Shayna, I'm going to drop you. And her music plays. The place goes nuts. This was great.
Yes, because Rhea Ripley is the greatest. Like, Shayna Baszler is a great character. There's no better bully than Shayna Baszler. Mm-hmm. But then the bell rings, and she's still got a long ways to go. Rhea Ripley is... There's nothing about her that's not great. There's nothing about her where I go, well, she's great with everything except this. Her promos are great. Her work is great. Her look is great. For, like, Vince McMahon, she's just tall.
Mm-hmm.
She's just the greatest. Like, I don't even know. Like, if they do a takeover and they do this match and Shayna submits her, like...
That's the end.
I'll keep watching this stupid show, but, I mean, that's like... It'd be one thing if she got called up to the main roster and ruined, but, like, if NXT somehow ruins Rhea Ripley, I'll never forgive them. I don't think they're going to, but, like, she is the most can't miss that I've seen in forever.
Yeah. And I say this as someone who loves Shayna, by the way.
Yeah, I love Shayna too.
But this is the woman who needs to beat her.
I said that weeks ago. Months ago, yes, I said that.
Like summer. So, yes, I love this with all my heart. We have clips of Pete Dunne, Killian Dane, and Damian Priest. And then Priest is getting tended to afterwards. And the doctor tells him, you've got 1 or 2 cracked ribs. And these cracked ribs are so severe, he'll be back to face Killian Dane next week.
That's a tough guy.
I realize guys have worked with cracked ribs for a long time, but sell the injury. Take a week off. Tommaso Ciampa versus Finn Balor in the main event. They're plugging this as like the first time ever and a dream match. And boy, does it feel like nothing special. It's a very average TV match.
I thought it was good.
Beth says that many people have compared Tommaso Ciampa to Mick Foley.
I've never heard anybody say that ever.
Name one person in the history of the planet Earth who has compared Tommaso Ciampa to Mick Foley.
Beth Phoenix, but other than that, I've heard nobody ever.
So Finn goes for the 1916 on the ramp, which is the Johnny Gargano killer. Ciampa cuts it off. It's an air raid crash out there instead. They started doing all the big moves in the air, or in the ring. Project Ciampa, avalanche air raid crash. None of this is the finish. Ciampa cries out, "This is for Johnny Boy!" But before we can find out what he's going to do, Adam Cole runs out and distracts him. The belt ends up in the ring. Finn does a reverse DDT onto the belt. Now, he apparently did this on accident.
Yes.
So it's not a disqualification, which is stupid anyway. And then it's not even the finish. Ciampa kicks out. Why did he do that spot? That was overkill.
Well, I think they wanted a near fall that everybody would buy. And quite frankly, it worked.
They were way too concerned about protecting Ciampa.
Well, yeah, it's Ciampa.
I realize that, but anyway, so I didn't write down the finish.
I did. So Adam Cole runs out again.
Yes.
And he kicks Ciampa behind the ref's back. Balor
That's
grabs
right.
Ciampa, gives him a very, 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 very safe 1916 DDT. So safe it wasn't a DDT.
The suplex.
He basically gave him a front suplex, and he pins him.
Yeah.
So basically, I mean, it's patently obvious the way they did the finish here that Ciampa's going to be the guy that beats Adam Cole.
Sure.
But there's no takeover until the February show in Portland. So there's two things that are going to happen. Because afterwards, Finn and Cole are celebrating, and Finn drops and gives Cole a kick. Everybody cheers. They chant Finn, Finn, Finn. He leaves. It's not a babyface turn.
No.
So
It would be stupid to do babyface turn.
So he's a man on his own, and that means there's two options here. That means you do babyface Ciampa heel Cole and tweener Balor in a three-way, or what is most likely is they do the Balor match with Cole first, which is why the Balor is a tweener, so it's not a heel versus heel match, and then the Portland show is Adam Cole versus Ciampa, and Ciampa wins the title there.
Yeah.
That's where I think they're going.
It makes sense what they did here because there's no logical way to not have Finn Balor in the main event, but you can't do a heel versus heel main event. It would not work very well.
I thought this match was really good. I liked it. It wasn't like the greatest match I ever saw, but I enjoyed it. I thought overall, I thought this was a very good show. There was no main roster guys on the show. Nobody from Raw, nobody from SmackDown. They went in there. They just had to be NXT. And I thought they did a really good job. I give it a thumbs up.
It was a thumbs up, yes. I did watch the Jack Evans Kenny Omega match on AEW Dark.
Really? I haven't even seen that one yet.
It's not anything you need to go to read to see.
Really?
They did not go out there to have the best match they could. They went out there to have a match where Kenny Omega would get over. He took the entire match. That was good. So it's not a bad match, but they could do way better. And Omega hit like a dozen moves in a row and a one-winged angel and won. So there's my quickie review of Evans Omega for the AAA Mega Championship. Then I watched AEW Dynamite, also November 27th of the year 2019. We open with Chris Jericho's Thanksgiving Thank You.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's funny you say that, Vinny, because Dave did not love it.
Really?
He did not love this celebration. And it was funny because as we reviewed
I don't know how
it,
it's possible.
he talked about all these things that he loved, but then in the end, he said he didn't love it.
Well, I don't. You do.
I was like, well, if you named 8 things about it that you loved, I mean, it sounds to me like you loved it.
You would need to ask.
I loved it.
You would need to ask Dave because I can name
Well,
it.
I did ask Dave.
I can tell you 80 things I loved, and in the end, I loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Soul Train Jones is in the ring. We're off to a hot start. There's giant presence in the ring. There's artwork. There's something under an easel. There's big, giant, inflatable mascots out on the floor dancing.
There's
clowns,
blow-up
and a
dinosaurs,
dinosaur,
clowns, yes.
a
Marching
cow,
band on the stage.
A marching band. Soul Train Jones very, very badly reads his promo from a script.
My God, they gave him this thing to read, and he just could not read this.
It had to be intentional.
Well, I mean, it wasn't, but they chose him for a reason.
That's also true. So Jericho comes out with the bubbly and a marching band. They're very happy to see him until he buries the city of Chicago. First, he says, if you check under your seats, some of you will find a coupon for 50 cents off a Les Champions t-shirt. And at least one person was actually holding up this coupon. So for all I know, they were legit.
I think there was one under every seat.
Probably was. And I love when he notes, by the way, this 50 cents comes out of his pocket.
Yes. It's a very
very generous
man, yes.
Now, for the first part of this, I think they fixed it by the end. This wasn't his fault, but the microphone was way too over-echoey. It's hard to understand.
Well, the mic was too quiet, so you're hearing the echo from the arena.
There you go. Okay. So he explains they traveled to Nepal to find the greatest grapes on Earth. And using these grapes, they produced a... well, you can go to littlebitofthebubbly.com.
Which is, in fact, a real website.
I hope so.
It's like one of those deals, like a wine club. And I guess he's got littlebitofthebubbly.com, and you can actually go there and grab this.
Sure.
I should have done it. We could drink it on the Christmas show.
That's true, which is coming.
Yeah.
We need to make plans for that.
Maybe someone will send it to us. Maybe we'll get like 50 bottles of Little Bit of the
That is
Bubbly.
entirely possible, which would not be a bad thing. So he brings out his best friends, the Inner Circle. Sammy Guevara is so hated.
It's awesome.
Just hated. He says he has a priceless gift for Chris Jericho. It is a cardboard cutout of the two of them hugging, and Jericho is so happy he gives Sammy a big hug, just like in the cutout.
JR is so disgusted with this display of whatever. And he's always so low-key about it. He's not like on WWE where, if something's funny, the announcers have to fake laugh. And if something is if a heel does something dastardly, they've got to like yell and scream. JR just under his breath says something like, "Isn't that nice?" He's just disgusted.
Well, Jericho was not disgusted. He was overjoyed. What a great present! Thank you, Spanish God! Proud and Powerful have a Boricua gift basket. They made a lot of jokes that went over my head, but went over with his fans in Chicago. They declared Jericho to be an official Boricua.
Yes.
They put the Puerto Rican flag bandana on his head. And then Jericho notices someone's missing. Where is the big hurt Jake Hager?
Yeah, this week he's no longer Jake Hagar.
I guess
This week
Jericho gave up.
He's Jake Hager now, yes.
So Jake Hager appears, I guess, in the aisle. He has a terrified farm animal, which he declares is named Chris Jarrett Goat. I laughed.
Yeah.
So Jericho's thrilled to have this. Then he notes all the presents, and he just wants to skip right ahead to the biggest box. What's in that big giant box? And so Proud and Powerful.
As soon as he says what is in that big giant box, you just hear everybody in the crowd. They make this noise. It's not like a cheer. It's not like a boo. It's like everyone's realization that there's somebody in this box.
Sure.
Like, is it Cody? Is it, like, who could this be? What great babyface is in this box? JR goes, Abdullah? No, it's not Abdullah. It is,
A callback to the Clash of Champions from, I believe, 1991.
it is Ted Irvine,
Daddy Jericho.
the father of Chris Jericho, who is the father of Chris Jericho.
Yes.
He's just incredible.
These men are blood related. The one is a product of the other.
It is so great to be back in New York City, he says. Everybody boos. They chant for the Blackhawks. He says, I played for the Rangers. We beat the Blackhawks all the time. They were brutal. I don't care what you say. The Chicago Blackhearts were, and always will be, wimps.
It's the best. That's the best. He talks about how he used to beat the crap out of some guy named Bobby Hole.
Do you know why I loved that line so much?
It was authentic.
Because when Jericho had that video a while ago, he had the lady that was like, she was at his church or something like that. Who was it? It was like his aunt's friend at church or whatever, right?
Something, yes.
Okay. So she had to say some line about, I think that Chris Jericho is going to kick his ass. And like the comedy was this old lady said ass, right? Or whatever it was that she said. So when Jericho's father says, they are, and they always will be, I'm expecting some profanity. And then he says, wimps. It's like classic. I don't even know if it was planned that way. I just howled with laughter because that was the last word that I expected Chris Jericho's dad to call the Chicago Blackhawks. Wimps.
So Ted had Rangers jerseys for the whole crew, and they all have their nicknames in the back: Ruffian, Le Champion, Big Hurt, Spanish God. They're all very happy to put these jerseys on. The crowd's just booing them like crazy. And Jericho finally says, enough fun and games. I have this official thank you statement from the people at AEW and TNT. I'm not going to read it. I'm going to call in Justin Roberts to read this thing.
Your boy Justin Roberts.
Who did great this week.
At which point the fans all chanted, you can't read.
Yes.
Loved it.
So Jericho interviews Justin, who turns out is from the Chicago area.
Yes.
Clearly not from downtown, because when Jericho asked him what high school he went to, and he said Buffalo Grove High School, everyone booed.
There were some boos, yeah.
And then Jericho just calmly says, Buffalo Grove High School sucks. So Roberts reads the thank you note.
It's just a very nice thank you letter.
Very polite.
It's very sincere.
Sincere from the bottom of the heart. Well written. Grateful thank you letter. Thanking Chris Jericho for making AEW the most talked about wrestling league in the world. We are proud you are our champion. Thank you, is how it ends. However, they do not like Justin Roberts' tone, so they all beat him up.
Nobody choked him with his tie. I'm still upset about
Missed
that.
opportunity.
How do you miss that one?
Excalibur asks who beat somebody up in their hometown. And then the marching band runs out to make the save. It's SCU in disguise. And no one caught this.
I did.
Daniels put out Soul Train Jones with the $1 Million Dream.
You think I didn't notice that? That was a cherry on top of this sundae.
Yes.
I loved it. It was fun. It
This was fantastic. This
Yeah.
is my favorite thing on this show, for sure.
was great.
So, Tony is on assignment. His other job has prior commitments. Filling in for him in this next match is Marco Solis Martinez. God bless the guy. He needs a lot of work.
Well, he was only there for the one match, and he barely said anything.
And when
Now-
he did, he was very quiet.
And when he did say something, I couldn't hear a goddamn word he said.
He's very shy, which is
So
not a
maybe-
good trait.
Maybe he got that mic that Jericho had in the opening segment that was too quiet, but
Could be.
also Dasha replaced Justin Roberts, and she was great.
Also true.
That is the same Dasha from WWE, for those of you that have not seen Dasha on AEW Dark or on the Chris Van Vliet podcast. She is a fountain of charisma. And if you watch her on either of those shows, you will be even more flabbergasted at what WWE did to Dasha.
Or did not do it with her. The Best Friends versus the Lucha Brothers. Orange Cassidy comes out in a turkey suit. This leads to Jim Ross making a WKRP joke, and Excalibur notes, yes, we're chasing the over 50 demographic hard. I loved the Thanksgiving thank you, but that was funnier than anything else that happened on this entire show. Chasing the over 50 demographic. So,
This match is set up in part by Trent beating Pentagon on Dark.
yes.
So they do the tag match here.
They're doing the tag match. It's really weird. There's
Actually, before you get into the match, I have to get this out of the way here first, okay? I have ranted about heat during the commercial break for how long now? My lifetime?
I think so, yes.
Okay. In every single match on AEW, nothing important happened during the break. They got the heat before the break in every segment. The comeback started after the break in every segment. In not one segment did they go to commercial, and when they came back, you had absolutely no idea what was going on. They largely did that on NXT, but there was one match, I can't remember which one it was, where somebody hit a dive, and then when they came back to commercial, that person was selling. So, if you're keeping track, AEW wins the properly placed television commercial award for the week of November 29th. And that means a lot to me.
It's important.
It is
It's
important.
an important part of doing a good show.
Yes.
So the highlight of the match is when the Lucha Brothers did a flying kick to the crotch, or as Excalibur called it, a kick to the perineum. That made me laugh. Excalibur's great if you haven't figured this out.
Yeah, he is.
So there's the heat on Trent, then the heat on Chuck, then the heat on Trent again, and then Orange Cassidy in a turkey suit distracts the Lucha Brothers. I'm thinking to myself, this is the weirdest damn match. And then before I can even finish that sentence, Trent pins Rey Fenix with a sit-down piledriver.
Yes.
What the hell just happened?
Well, what happened, Vinny, is the best friends beat the Lucha Brothers.
Now, a couple
and they're
things.
probably going to get a tag team championship.
My immediate reaction was what in the hell just happened? The best friends pinned the Lucha Brothers. Then a few seconds later, I thought, well, hey, you know what this tells me about AEW? They have proven that wins and losses do matter,
Yes.
and that they have built stars. And when those stars lose, it's shocking.
Yes.
When these stars lose on Raw, it's Raw.
Well, here's the big difference, Vinny. This place doesn't do DQs.
Not very often.
No, we've never seen one.
All right.
Right?
I don't remember any.
We
so-
have never seen a DQ on this show, okay? So, because they don't do disqualifications, and because everybody beats everybody, yes, sometimes you go, why in the world did the Lucha Brothers lose to the best friends? But you know what you don't think? The Lucha Brothers must have done something wrong. They're getting buried.
That's true.
You know why you don't think that? Because in WWE, they do countouts and disqualifications and bullshit finishes to protect the top guys. If Randy Orton is going to be beaten, there's going to be outside interference, or there's going to be a disqualification, or there's going to be a count out, there's going to be whatever, okay? So when somebody is beaten on Raw or SmackDown, you immediately think something must be wrong. Why would they beat Randy Orton? Unless it's like some guy on the rise or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you always assume there's more to it. Whereas in AEW, because they don't do disqualifications, and because everybody beats everybody else, that's fine.
They just lost a
You
match.
accept it. It's just, well, they lost. I mean, you were surprised, but nobody came out of this going, these fucking Lucha Brothers, they just won't make tags right. And so clearly they're being buried now.
Right. That never crossed my mind.
Not for 1 second should that have crossed your mind.
Now-
whereas if this were WWE, that'd be your immediate thought.
Yes. Now, thinking more about this on the drive down, because I was baffled, it did occur to me, the Lucha Brothers got to the tournament finals and lost. They had their rematch in the three-way. It's time for a new challenger. Why not the Best Friends?
Yes, if you have rankings,
Ken, everything okay over there? Yeah. Okay.
you want to pick it up? So if you have rankings, okay, and your number one ranked tag team based on wins and losses is the Lucha Brothers, but as you noted, they had their chance in the tag team tournament. They lost in their rematch. I mean, what, you're going to give them another championship match?
That's what WWE would do.
You would have to, unless somebody beats them.
Yes.
Now, if you want to argue, well, it should have been another team other than the Best Friends, you can argue that if you want to, but it had to be somebody. There's no pay-per-view coming up anytime soon. So, like, if they're going to have a more important team beat the Lucha Brothers, you do that closer to the pay-per-view.
Also true.
This was all fine.
Yes. We have the rankings of the AEW Women's Division. The most important thing here, it becomes important in a few segments. Number 5 is Allie. Number 4 is Nyla Rose. Number 3 is Emi Sakura. Number 2 is Britt Baker. Number 1 is Hikaru Shida. And the champion is, of course, Riho. Bea Priestley and Emi Sakura versus Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander. Jim Ross, during the introductions, drops an unfortunate Oriental line, immediately corrected himself, and says Asian. So, I don't know. They did this match. It was fine. My favorite part was Statlander doing the Oklahoma roll, because there's this move that no one does anymore, so it made her stand out.
Dude, this match went way too long.
They hit Sakura with a dozen finishers. None of them were the finish. What I wrote here... They hit Sakura with like a dozen finishers that do not finish. This match is not good enough to warrant all these near falls. And then Sakura hit Statlander with a mic stand and pinned her with Lama Astral. Match was too much.
It was too long, and it wasn't even that long, but it was longer than it should have been. And it's just too long. That's all there is to say about it. I mean, the crowd was kind of into it, but not really. And like when it was over, I didn't feel like anybody got any more over. I saw the Joey Janela Chris Statlander match, which was great. It was from Beyond Wrestling, and like when that match was over, I mean, I was more impressed with Chris Statlander than I was with Joey Janela. That's how good she was in that match.
All right.
But I didn't feel that way when this match was over. I don't know if it was just like the match wasn't as good and so she didn't stand out as much or what, but it just went on too long and wasn't all that great. And just kept going.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This is the first time I had seen her. I didn't know she's certainly not shy. She's not a wallflower. She's not just there in the ring. But she did not stick out as someone significantly more talented than anyone else in the match. Got a Jon Moxley promo backstage. Long story short, he's dangerous, he's crazy, he is Napalm Death. And most people will pray they never face him. But maybe somebody is crazy or has a death wish. He challenges anyone like that to face him. Cody makes his in-ring return to face Matt Nix.
Yeah.
If you're wondering who Matt Nix is, it doesn't matter. He lost in a minute to a springboard cutter in a figure 4.
You know what's funny here was obviously Cody is going to be feuding with MJF. And we'll get to what happened after the match here in a moment. But when Cody came out, first they're talking about how he's number 3. He's ranked number 3, and we know that's not where he wants to be. And then they start kind of talking about how, well, he's never getting a championship match again. So, you know, some people are asking why he's even ranked. And then Excalibur goes, well, some teams are ineligible to play for a championship, but they're still ranked, and they're going over all of this explanation or whatever. So as they're going over this, Cody's coming down to the ring, and he's about to face Matt Nix. And it really hit me that if they're telling the truth, and they are claiming this, by the way, he's never getting another match again. Mm-hmm. All right? They're not just saying this in storyline, but like Tony Khan, in a media scrum, flat out said, like, he's not getting another match. We're not going back on Stips. Cody comes out here, and I'm just watching him going, now what?
There's a good question.
I'm saying, like, he's the top babyface in this company, and we, the fans, have been told he's never going to be the champion. So, like, what's he doing? What does he do after he beats MJF? He just wrestles Matt Nix on TV? Maybe he goes for the tag titles, I guess, but, like, it's just really weird. He's 30, I think he's 34. Might be 35. I think he's 34. But, like, he's 34 years old, and unless this place goes out of business, he is here for the rest of his life. And, like, they're telling us he's never going to be in a championship match again. It really hit me like, why did you do this? You know what I'm saying?
I do. It seemed rushed at the time, and yeah, I don't know what they do for the next half decade with this guy now.
Like, I mean, maybe in his mind he's like, well, you know what? I'm an EVP. I'm an executive vice president. I shouldn't ever be the champion. That's fine to think that now, but like, you're going to be here forever. The day may come where they need Cody as the champion.
Yeah.
Why would you do this? Like, just say to yourself, I'm never going to make myself the champion. Just say that to yourself, and then, like, if the day comes, the day comes. But now you've done this. I don't know. I was watching this, and it just really hit me. Why in the world did he say that?
So, as we talked about during the Cody Jericho match, Cody did a dive onto the ramp and tore his face apart. It's 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. So it's going to heal better than it is now, but it's going to leave a very nasty scar over his face. Like this, his dad will still have him beat on number of scars, but this scar, as far as who has the worst scar, may top his dad when all is said and done.
It's almost like he had this horrible scar, and they were like, dude, we got to stitch this thing up. And he said, nope. I'm keeping this one forever. That's how deep this thing was.
And jagged and crooked. It starts here and goes all the way over here. So he wins quickly. He begins to get a promo on MJF when a hole in the mat opens up. And first I thought, here comes somebody from the Dark Order.
I thought it was MJF.
A masked man appeared. And then he pulls off the mask, and there's a man.
There's a guy.
And I stare at him, and Jim Ross stares at him, and all the fans stare at him. Even Cody just stares at him. And one guy, Excalibur, just screams, "It's the Blade!"
Yeah.
So a fight breaks out. Another man comes through the ring. Now, this man has a mustache and a monocle. And for those two reasons, I almost forgave all of this. But again, I stare at him, and Jim Ross stares at him, and the fans all stare at him, and Excalibur shouts, "The Butcher!" And I'm thinking, who? I watch a lot of wrestling. I read about a lot of wrestling. Who in the hell are the Blade and the Butcher? And then there's a third person. There's a woman in a rabbit mask who sadly was not Peter from New Japan.
That is sad.
And Excalibur says, "That's the bunny." And here I thought, well, okay, she's got a bunny mask on, that's fine. And then he says, "That's Allie in her new name," or whatever he said. And I thought, did I miss a month's worth of shows? Allie, who 10 minutes ago you told me was the number 5 ranked wrestler,
Yep.
now has a bunny gimmick
Yes.
and has gone to some E-Fed creator wrestler somewhere and found 2 random dudes and brought them here to feud with your top guy? What on earth was this? This is like Excalibur had a dream, and then it happened in the ring.
I was flabbergasted. Okay, so I got a couple of things. Okay, one is a defense. The rest, trust me, are not. Okay, it's many months before their next pay-per-view. Okay, I think their next pay-per-view is in March.
That's a long time.
December, January, February, March. We got 4 months.
Math.
Okay. Might be earlier than that, but it's certainly not in December. Okay? So you're not going to be doing Cody and MJF probably until that pay-per-view.
Sure.
So I think their deal must be, well, Cody's got to do something. Like, we can't just stretch this MJF thing out for 3 months.
That's fair.
Because it's not like WWE where, like, every month they got a pay-per-view. So I think that's why these mystery people attacked Cody. Okay? Now, with that said, when the first guy comes out and Excalibur screams, "The Blade," Jim Ross says, "Who is it?" Excalibur says, "The Blade." And the fans start to chant, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
Then the other guy comes out. Excalibur goes, "It's the Butcher." Jim Ross says, "What?" And then Excalibur says, "It's the Butcher and the Blade." And then Allie comes out dressed as a rabbit. And literally they go to commercial and Jim Ross says, and I quote, "I don't know what's going on here, folks." Okay.
I don't blame him.
Okay, listen. There's a million things here. First off, I think I would have been better with this if Excalibur didn't know who they were. If nobody knew who these people were, and it was like, well, next week, maybe we'll find out who these two men are. Maybe Allie's going to tell us who these two dudes are. I think that would have been better, okay? I understand the idea that Excalibur is so great at his job that he knows everybody in wrestling anywhere on the planet, okay? Fine. All right? If that's the story, that it doesn't matter who debuts from where, Excalibur knows everything about them. If that's the Excalibur character in AEW, I'm cool with that, okay? But if that's the character, then when Jim Ross says, "Who is it?" then Excalibur can't just reply, "The Blade." He needs to tell JR
He has wrestled
and
in,
us
Yes.
who this fucking guy is.
He has wrestled in the Great Lakes or in California or in Mexico.
I
wherever
think-
the hell he's been.
I think that was my problem with it. Excalibur clearly knew who these people were, but he still didn't tell us.
He expected us to know.
I don't know if he expected us to know, but like, if Ross doesn't know and the fans don't know, but he knows, it's his job to tell us who these people are.
Oh.
That's why it either should have been nobody knows who they are, or Excalibur should have told us who they are. The way it was just like, why doesn't Jim Ross know who these guys are? Why don't I know who they are? I'm trying to figure out why Allie was just wrestling on Dark last week, and now she's dressed as a rabbit. Like, I didn't even know what was going on here.
Like we're supposed to say, oh, it's the Blade.
Oh,
Now
not,
I see.
not Blade, the Blade.
Now I see.
Yeah, this was a swing and a miss, as they say
Was.
in baseball.
This could have been done.
We could have used Shivani here.
Yes, exactly.
Used to call baseball.
This was the opposite of Kane debuting at Bad Blood.
I'll say. And why were they into the ring? I guess
don't know.
I guess the Blade had something to cut the canvas with, but it's just weird.
That's all his entrances now are cutting away
Yeah,
through the
he
ring.
cuts his way
That's
through
why he's
stuff.
the Blade.
And the Butcher should have a big knife.
Or it's a big side of beef.
Sure, yeah.
So we got Pac versus
And
Kenny
why
Omega.
is the bunny hanging out with the Butcher? That ain't gonna end well.
I guess she didn't think this through.
Well, clearly not. I mean, this was a big change.
I mean, nobody thought anything through about any of this. Pac versus Kenny Omega. So yes, Brian, this match was really, really good.
It's great.
I just don't have anything to say about it. They went 100 miles an hour. Everything looked great. There was a terrifying top rope Falcon Arrow. They went back and forth the whole time, and they countered finishers, and Omega won with a cradle.
I mean, I didn't write down everything that happened either, but there was a lot of stuff that happened. And it was an excellent match. Pac looked incredible. Kenny Omega looked incredible. Like, this was the Kenny Omega we should have gotten from day one. And he won the match, I guess. I don't know what's going on. That's the one thing. I don't know what's going on with this Kenny Omega thing. Like, he was losing. And then now he's winning.
This is an example of something that happened on Dark that they need to talk more about what happened on the main show. But the Dark match was essentially an extended squash. And part of the story was there's a new, more vicious side of Kenny Omega.
I see.
And
we need to be told about that.
They
or
do.
Shown footage of that.
Yes, we need to have that explained more clearly, and don't assume everybody is watching every show. And there's still more to come on this topic as well.
Well, I mean, the thing that we learned last week was with that Phoenix versus Nick Jackson match, their audience will watch a great match. And that's what they got here. So we'll see what it does in the quarters, but I really liked the match. I thought it was great. Thought both guys looked great. Thought they looked like superstars. I have no complaints.
Yes. MJF versus Hangman Page for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. MJF cuts a promo. This ring costs $45,000.
That's a hell of a diamond ring.
Does not belong on a white trash inbred hick from Virginia. And Page says Maxwell has made fun of his state, but tonight is about prestige. It's a big match and a $45,000 ring. He needs a big win. He's not much of a ring guy, but if Maxwell wants it, after I beat him, I can shove it up his ass.
Wow.
Yes. So they're doing this match, and Excalibur says, oh, by the way, Adam Page has left the Elite,
Oh, yeah, this was another one.
as seen on the Being the Elite YouTube show.
Yes.
Okay, if you're filming something and putting it on the YouTube show, and it's about a departure from one of your main factions, you can't have it be a throwaway line in commentary. Show the footage on Dynamite.
Well, there's a bigger issue, Vinny. If we watch this show and we imagine that when AEW started on TNT, we began watching for the first time and we know nothing about nothing, which, given the viewership of Being the Elite and the viewership of this television show, there's probably 700,000 people that never watched Being the Elite that are watching this show on a regular basis. Who are the Elite?
Well,
Like, we kind of know that it's a faction, and, I mean, if you really think about it, you probably can figure out that, like, Cody's in it, and the Young Bucks, and Kenny, and the Hangman. But, I mean, what have they ever really done as a unit?
they did one trios match.
I mean, it's just like, there's too much of an assumption that everyone knows everything about everything.
Yes.
And we don't. And, I mean, at least Excalibur explained that on Being the Elite, Hangman Page left the Elite. But, like, first off, what the hell does that even mean? And second off, like, if it's important, maybe we should have seen the footage of that or something.
Why did he leave the Elite?
Why did he leave
is
the
he
Elite?
mad at them? Are they mad at him?
Yeah.
Should I care about these people?
I know why, because Dave explained it to me on Observer Radio. But, like, for everybody else that hasn't watched Observer Radio or listened to Observer Radio, like, this is just a giant puzzle piece in a puzzle that they have not fully explained yet.
So it's a very hard to follow show sometimes. So Page hits the buckshot lariat, but Wardlow puts MJF's foot on the ropes. So Page leans through the ropes to get to Wardlow, but Wardlow punches him. And MJF follows with the worst crossroads ever. And I could not figure out if he had done this on purpose or not.
Yeah, so he grabs him for the crossroads, but he doesn't spin. He just, like, takes a back bump, and this results in the Hangman basically landing upside down, sideways, twisted on his own head.
That's not good.
And what I wrote here, and far be it from me to put over my own prose, but, like, this is a perfect explanation of this. The good news is it looked like he almost killed the guy. The bad news is it looked like he almost killed the guy.
Yes,
That about covers it.
that about covers it.
So, yeah, he hits this move, DDP comes out because he's the one who's going to present the diamond ring. And he says he's here to present the first ever dynamite ring to the winner, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Some of your actions, he says, have been very disappointing to me. Tonight, you're the man. Since I'm the bigger man, I'm going to congratulate you like a man. He offers his hand. MJF spits his gum out, puts it in DDP's hand. They go face to face. Wardlow steps in. DDP tells Wardlow to step off because it looked really stupid if he got beat up by a 63-year-old man. They get in a pull apart. Refs break it up. Now, my big question, Vinny, did I miss the ring presentation?
Yes.
I did?
Yes.
He gave it to him?
He held out the box, ring in a box. Maxwell took the ring and put it on.
Okay. I have nothing else to say then.
All right.
That was my fault.
I didn't write it down.
I missed it. I thought they did this whole thing and he never even got the ring.
He got the ring somewhere.
Okay, that was my
They
fault.
have it in there somewhere. I think before the gum, obviously.
Yes.
So yes, I guess we're gonna get DDP versus Wardlow. I guess. Who knows?
I can't imagine that. DDP has got to bring someone to face Wardlow.
That would make more sense.
Yes.
Yeah. Jen Decker is interviewing Dustin Rhodes, who only gets about 2 lines out about how Hager broke his arm and Dustin's out for blood. The inner circle attacks. The Young Bucks make the save. Everyone gets shattered dreams, and that's that.
Yeah, so next week, a 6-man tag.
We have another Dark Order video. That fat nerd, and I'm sorry, but it's the only way to describe him. He goes to he finds the joindarkorder.com tag on a flyer and goes to their secret meeting at some building somewhere.
I didn't even think to Google that.
So,
There it is. Stop losing and start winning.
oh,
Join us. Let me click on this. Oh, look at this. Your path to enlightenment begins here. If you're interested in becoming part of the Dark Order, if you want to be a creeper, I guess, send us your information and we will provide you with further instructions.
Ken?
I'm doing it right now. Ken Nida. I don't want him to know it's me, Ken. Brian at WrestlingObserver.com. Phone? 1-800-878-PLAY. Birthday. Oh, God, I got to scroll all the way back? It's going to take forever.
I'm assuming they can hear that.
I am fucking old. All right. June 12, 1985. Brian Alvarez. Tell us your story. What's my story?
You're tired
What's
of being...
Ken's story?
Your story, Brian, is that you were tired of living in the shadow of your mentor.
Tired of being belittled by the host of the radio show I produce, seeing as to how I constantly drop things on the floor and put my headphones on the mic, causing it to tilt down, at which point the headphones fall on the ground. All right. Spell check. All right. I am not a robot. Can you confirm that, Ken?
Confirmed.
Okay.
Confirmed.
Submit. It is done, it says. There is no turning back.
Wow.
Thank you for signing me up for a cult.
No problem,
I appreciate it.
Hey, you'll get less than the Scientology stuff that I still get in the mailbox. All right. Go ahead, Vinny.
So here on this video, there's 2 guys who wrestle in the Dark Order. One of them has a mask, and he's named Evil Uno.
Yes.
The other is named Grayson. He does not wear a mask. So at this meeting, an unmasked Evil Uno is speaking, but it's shot so you never see his face.
Dr. Claw.
It's brilliant. You see like the back of his head or like from the neck down from the front. He says, we could be anyone. Your friends have failed you. Your family has failed you. But the Dark Order will not fail you. We could be anyone. We could be a politician. We could be a teacher. We could be in charge of the care of your child. We are everything.
I hope not.
We are one. Are you ready to pledge to the Dark Order? And the lights go out, and the lights come back up. Everyone has a mask on except the new guy, and they all turn to stare at him. And he submits, I suppose. Now he is a creeper as well. I love the Dark Order.
It's going to be a big creeper.
This is a hefty creeper. Scorpio Sky versus Chris Jericho for the world title. The highlight of this match, frankly, was Chris Jericho's Le Champion weight belt.
Yeah.
I know it's a stolen gimmick because Cody's got one. Not everyone needs a weight belt, but if you're going to get one, it should say Le Champion on it. So, the first half of this match, 0 people believed Scorpio Sky had a chance of winning.
Yeah.
Absolute 0. And so, it's not very good. Now, the seconds had been banned from ringside for this match. Usually in AEW, in title matches anyway, each man will have a second. And we've often seen tag team partners, whatever, in the corner. Everyone was supposed to be banned from ringside from this match. So at one point, Jake Hager runs down and jumps in the apron, and Scorpio Sky hits him and he falls down, and that's it.
I was flabbergasted.
I was very confused.
How in the world, how do you say that seconds are banned from ringside, and then one of them comes down and, nothing happens? Shouldn't that have been you can throw the match's got to be thrown out, or
throw
something. There's got to be a
have
consequence.
security come get Hager or something. No, it's just you're banned from ringside unless you want to, I guess.
Who's in charge?
Cody, as far as I can tell.
Well, no, we saw that one skit with Tony Khan. But,
That's true.
I mean, listen, I'll forgive them if next week on television, the Tony Khan character behind the door, who also, by the way, is like Dr. Claw, apparently.
Yes.
I mean, if Hagar gets suspended for 2 weeks or there's some sort of consequence, fine. But watching this match, there was no consequence. The rule was no one's allowed to come down, and then a dude just came down. Mm-hmm. The referee didn't even tell him to get out of here.
No. Now, I will say this, for whatever reason, once Hager ran down, suddenly then everyone believed in Scorpio Sky. So I guess they just never thought there was going to be a finish without a run-in. I guess. I don't know. They never even did the small package near fall.
I was surprised about that.
I couldn't even believe that. They did get a backslide over as a near fall, so I can't be too mad at them. But they had the easiest spot in the world, which they set up in 2 separate title matches, and they didn't finish up with it. And then Jericho, he kicked out of a code breaker, Scorpio Sky did, and he escaped the Boston Crab once, but he got put back in it, and he tapped out.
Yeah.
And Jericho wins.
The big spot was when Hagar came out after the Inner Circle had been banned. He comes down to the ring, and Jericho rolls up Scorpio, and then Kazarian and Daniels come down. They run off Hagar. I guess he's Hager now. I got to get used to that. But anyway, Jericho tries a belt shot because the referee's distracted, and Scorpio avoids it and hits him with a TKO. And he makes the cover, and the referee comes in, and the fans absolutely bought that as a finish. Which, they convinced... Here's another one. Because they don't do disqualifications, and because on any given show, a Trent, or as Jim Ross called him, a Taven, can beat a Rey Fenix or a Pentagon, these fans actually believe that Scorpio Sky might beat Chris Jericho and become the AEW World Champion. It was astounding. And Chris Jericho kicked out, and they did their deal, and he won. And then they did the big stare down there with Jon Moxley, and that's another one. I don't think they're doing the Moxley-Jericho match until the pay-per-view, so they got 3 months. They got to do something in between. Mm-hmm. But they're going pretty quick with this one, so maybe this one will be a TV match.
I don't know. But that was it. That was AEW.
That was AEW. And that means it's time for our official tally.
It is.
Which show do you think was the better show this week? And my vote, Vinny, this week is NXT.
You know what? I think I'm going to say the same thing. Because while there was a lot of stuff on AEW I liked, there was more stuff that left me irritated or annoyed or questioning what was going on. And listen, Pac and Omega was excellent. I did like Lio Rush and Akira Tozawa more. So NXT, as is usually the case, had the best match. Now, the best thing of the night was the Thanksgiving thank you. That was awesome.
The Jericho celebration I thought was great. I thought the Pac Omega match was great. And I really did like the Jericho Scorpio Sky match. But there was a lot of stuff on that AEW show where I was just baffled.
Just left scratching my head.
The women's match went too long. The Diamond Ring match, really, for all that, it wasn't all that good.
It was just a match.
It was just basically a match.
I think
The Cody thing, my mind was just blown. And then some of the weird things like, the the whatever you want to call it here, the run in by the second after they'd been banned. There was a spot in the MJF match where JR flat out said it should be a DQ, and he wasn't wrong. Like, you can't pull the referee in front of the way of a buckshot lariat, but the guy did. I mean, there's just a lot of little things on that show where it was not perfect.
No.
It was nowhere near perfect.
NXT had the fun opening promo, the fun opening tag match, even if it did go too long. It had
Tozawa Leo Rush, the main event.
Very good.
Rhea Ripley was a star.
The Rhea Ripley Shayna showdown.
Yep.
Yes. So, yeah, NXT for this week was the better show.
All right, what's the tally for all the new listeners?
Well, I have to do some very quick math here. Between the two of us...
Let's go through the last 7 weeks.
All right, well, okay. Is that how many we have? We actually have... You want to do 7 specifically? We have 9.
9 weeks.
All right. Week 1, Brian, you voted for a tie. I voted for NXT. That was the last time until tonight that either of us voted for NXT. In the ensuing, 7 weeks, we each voted for AEW 6 times with 1 tie. And then tonight we both voted NXT.
Well, there you go. That's the tally,
So
everybody.
Between the two of us, 3 votes for NXT, 3 votes for a tie, and there'd be, I believe, a dozen votes for AEW.
Well, since everyone's asking, the ratings won't be out till Monday, so we'll get them to you as soon as we get them. And that's it. So hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving weekend. I don't think I have any shows tomorrow because I don't think there's UFC. And that means Sunday we'll have an Observer Radio, an Observer Live, and a Brian and Vinny show all on Sunday. This Sunday, I think, is Superstars?
Saturday night's main event.
Oh, Saturday night's main event.
Like
That's
a
right.
month I've been looking forward to.
That's right. We're going to be watching an old WWF Saturday night's main event from